Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
Hi, this is Ed Cohen, your broadcast host on Global TV Talk Show and Global Radio Talkshow.com. Our special guest today is coming to us from Paradise, Aruba, out there in the Atlantic. Actually, the southern part of the Caribbean Sea is, I guess, somewhere above Venezuela and due south of New Orleans, I guess. So let's welcome Jacqueline Jasionowski. Hello.
Hi, Ed. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. So tell us in your words, where is Aruba located?
I like to say exactly what you started this sentence off with earlier would be paradise. That is exactly where I'm at. I'm surrounded by oceans and palm trees and beautiful breeze and sunny skies. I mean, it really is like waking up in paradise every single day. And you nailed it on the head as far as geography is concerned. I can actually see Venezuela on a clear day based on certain parts of the island wherever I'm standing.
Wow. That is super cool. And so it's Atlantic time, not Eastern time, which means 1 hour the other way, right?
Yes, so 1 hour ahead of the East Coast. That's right.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So your background has been in the automotive industry for some years, BMW and some other things. And you're involved in marketing and public relations, customer relations. Is that correct?
So most of my career was in the area of human resources. So for about 12 to 13 years or so. And then I jumped into the customer experience arena. Yeah. And I worked quite closely at that point in time with our dealerships across the entire country relative to the sales operations component. So helping them really, from a sales standpoint, deliver a luxury, elevated customer experience.
Wow, that sounds like a marketing gal.
Yeah, it definitely, you had to have a bit of understanding of marketing because we had to take a look at the segmentation of our clients, right? And what our customers were looking for when it came to BMW as a brand. And so then being able to communicate in a way that related to them and ensured that we were listening to their needs and delivered an experience that was relative to what they were asking for in that moment.
And so what are you doing now?
Well, in 2017, I actually left the organization after 17 years and I decided to go out on my own. And what we didn't talk about is that during that time at BMW in 2014, I stumbled into this remarkable world known as coaching. I actually went and got certified to become a coach while I was still employed with BMW. And I fell in love with learning these tools and techniques and practices to help elevate individuals' mindset. And what started to happen as I went through that training is that I utilized all these amazing tools on myself and saw the transformation and experienced the transformation in my own life that I thought, oh my goodness, I want to be able to deliver this to the world, right? And so I started incorporating these coaching techniques and tools with my dealership. So introducing concepts to help them change the way they looked at their own world so that they could actually deliver a better experience to their customer. And so over that time frame, utilizing those tools with the dealerships, I recognized that I wanted to diversify the group of individuals that I was working with. And I started to go out on my own and teach coaching and training with my own company known as Shift Awake Group.
Now, Shift Awake Group, Shift Awake, how did you come up with that? What's the genesis of that?
Wow, great question. First of all, automotive is part of my core. I grew up in the automotive industry and I have a strong passion for cars. So I love going fast. I love the beauty and the design of a luxury vehicle. Yes. And so shift, it has a couple of play on words here because not only do I also believe that when you drive a manual transmission vehicle that it just elevates the driving experience overall. So being able to shift, right, your vehicle in order to go from lower or high gears, but also shift as a play on words for me from a transformational standpoint to help people shift their lives, from maybe a place of complacency and uncertainty to a place of desire and accomplishment, whatever that might be for them. And then this word awake really so many of us are sleepwalking through our lives because we're on autopilot. I talk about the metaphor, right, of getting up and what we used to experience when we get in the car and drive to work. And then you look back and go, oh my gosh, how did I actually get here? You don't know because your brain is hardwired with these patterns that we've created over years. So my whole philosophy is helping people shift awake, which is actually be more present, be more mindful and experience their life day to day versus just being on autopilot and cruising through it.
Yeah, that's cool. I've got a couple of questions here, if I could play on those words and meanings. And, if you need to redirect what I'm getting at, just do it, okay?
Okay, you got it.
All right.
Like good. Nike, just do it.
So let's talk about shifting. And let's talk about the friction point, where you raise the clutch to that certain point and step on the gas and zoom, right? And so the friction point in people who are, not as aggressive or as well-spoken as you are, or me, but they also are smart and inward perhaps to some extent, or self-deprecating to the point where they don't think, where they think they don't deserve something, or they're not sure how to do it. They don't want to come across as being dumb or not knowing the answer. And so they hold themselves back. And so how do you coach people, men or women, to get that friction point, to use the automotive idea of a shift car?
Sure. Another great question, Ed. Thank you. So really, it all boils down to the beliefs that we carry. And the beliefs that we have created in our life could happen in a myriad of ways. It could be a belief that we just acquired from our family, our parents. It could be a belief in the outside world. It could be, one that we just generated based on an experience that we have. So when you're going through this process and you're seeing that somebody is hitting that friction point where they can't move, they can't shift forward, it's really breaking down what do they believe about themselves and about the world. And then when you start to uncover and kind of unpack that, if you will, then you start to get at the core and determine whether or not that belief is still working. Typically, it usually is not. And then being able to reframe and create a new belief. Now, the trick though here is that you have to really believe the new belief. And so often we say the words of affirmation, such as, I am worthy, I deserve love, I believe in abundance, whatever that belief might be, and we don't believe it. So your brain, it doesn't know the difference if whether you believe it and you're saying the words and you're trying to believe it. So it just goes forward with what it is that ultimately you truly feel about yourself and the world. So it's helping people learn how to also feel differently and truly believe this new belief, and then they can actually shift the gear to move forward. So it sounds a little complicated, but quite frankly, when you start to have a conversation with somebody and you help them, you're almost like a mirror, and you help them see themselves for who they truly are, then it gives them an opportunity to actually shift a little quicker than they did by themselves.
So you're focusing in on women, right?
Right now I am. It's interesting because I started off really still staying in the automotive industry because it's what I knew. It was what I could talk eloquently about the dealership practices, because I knew about it. And I've been doing that for the last 3 years. And then COVID hit and it changed everything for me. And now I've switched towards really specifically focusing on women.
I want to invite you to consider joining a talk show that I'm producing on January 13. Begins 8 a.m. Pacific, and it's going to go for 2 hours. And we have a number of women from around the world who will be on this program. And as panelists, discussions, and I'm moderating. It's not just for women, but it'll be mostly women. And I'll send you the info if you're interested to be a participant.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, good. It's called Leadership Women and Women Leadership interchangeably. And we're honoring the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader
Wonderful.
Ginsburg. And the ideas that she stood for, which helps everybody, not just women, but of course, particularly women. And so it's really caught on. I think we might have enough stuff and interest to make it a year-round, once a month program. But more on that.
Wonderful. I love it.
More on that later. And what I saw on your website were some graphics like joy and self-affirmation or reaffirmation things. Tell us about that. And do you use Etsy? Is that a website for design graphics?
Sure. So it's very interesting because I'm somewhat of a multi-dimensional, multi-passionate individual. And my degree is actually in art. I'm a painter by education. And so my art has been, I would say, a red thread, if you will, throughout my entire existence as a human being. And so it's popped up and it's been quite predominant, and then it's taken a back seat, and it really has been on this roller coaster ride called life with me. And so over the last, probably 5+ years or so, it's been more of a backseat driver. And I recognize recently, as in the last 4 months or so, Ed, that I no longer want to put that part of myself in the back seat, because when I'm creating, I'm so full of joy and happiness and love. And so I've been toying around with, how do I incorporate and bring my art into my coaching experience? And so I had a revelation, because I'm always thinking of ideas. I'm always creating something, Ed. It's like, if you follow me ever, you could see, wow, what's she doing now? And my dad calls me his once in a lifetime child, because I'm always calling him going, Dad, guess what I'm going to do? And he's like, wow. He's like, another once in a lifetime experience, I'm sure. Yes. So when I came to Aruba, I brought some paints. I brought watercolors. I brought paintbrushes with me, because I wanted to start to incorporate my art on a more regular basis. And prior to that, over the last several years, every year I would pick a word that I wanted to embody for the upcoming year. And in December 2019, New Year's Eve, I sat down and I actually picked 2 words. I picked fun and I picked freedom. And I took out my markers and my pencils and my paints, and I drew and I painted these words with the ocean, all these sunsets, palm trees. I painted Spanish words because I wanted to learn the language, and a couple of other things. Well, I did not realize, but that night I was literally manifesting where I'm living right now. And I would have never in a million years told you that Aruba was in my future. I never even had been here. So it was an incredibly powerful manifesting year by picking those 2 words. And so I was incredibly mindful as I walked into 2021, thinking, wow, if I could do that, I really need to be very thoughtful about what I want in 2021. And so I decided, instead of keeping this little secret to myself, because I know a lot of people pick their words for the year, why not incorporate my coaching practice? So my love of visualization as a technique with my clients and for myself, as well as my love of creating and painting. And so this year I launched my 2021 word. And what it is for clients, or for anybody even on my website or on my Etsy site, which is where I sell some of my products, they could actually get a custom hand-painted word, whatever their word is for the year. And then I will make it into also a digital screensaver. So they get the original piece as well as a screensaver, so they could have that word in front of them that's customized just for them for the upcoming year. And for me, picking a word isn't just picking a word. It's really embracing, how do you want to feel? Because that has been the biggest, I think, hardship for most people when thinking of their word. They're like, oh my gosh, there's thousands of words. Like, Jacqueline, like, how do I pick just one? And so I always say, think about, how do you want to feel in this upcoming year? Last year, I wanted more fun and freedom. Did I know that it was going to come in the shape of, COVID, which really kind of hurt my business significantly? No. But did it bring me to an island where I wake up every day, where I feel free and I feel like I'm surrounded by paradise and I have fun meeting new people? Yes.
Is it an international population there?
Absolutely. Almost everyone who actually inhabits Aruba. So they're from Aruba, but most of them are from Venezuela, from Colombia, from the Netherlands. And almost everybody here speaks 5 languages. It's remarkable. Remarkable.
Wow, that's amazing.
It really is. So English, if you come here and you speak English, you're going to get around absolutely just fine. You can throw in a few words of papiamento or Spanish. You'll get around just fine as well.
So what about restrictions, COVID type restrictions? What's going on there?
Sure. So on your way into Aruba, you must have a negative COVID test, which is what I really appreciated about what this country's done, because you need that 72 hours prior to getting here. Now, I know there's naysayers out there going, well, you can get tested and then you can go hang out with your family and, get something, whatever. I understand all of that. But regardless, still, the first steps in protocol are get that negative test and then you can come in. You can also get it at the airport and then quarantine until you get the results. And that is been, I think, significantly helpful when contributing to keeping the cases low. Now, over the holidays, the island has been pumping. I've never seen it this busy in my whole time here. So the cases did go up. So what they've done when the cases go up, they actually put in place a curfew. So now everybody, all the clubs, all the bars, all the casinos close at 10 o'clock. And then everybody has to be home off the island by 11.
Yeah. Off the island? What does that mean?
Meaning off the beaches, off of the roads. They need to be in their homes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's all right. It keeps things quiet and manageable.
Yes, for sure. For the most part.
Yeah. So except for your neighbors, right?
Yes, except for the fact that I have about 65 new neighbors that came just for the holidays. And they're having a good time, clearly, but some of us are still working. So we're trying to balance that.
Yeah. So what's the temperature there now? It's midday there, a little afternoon time.
Yes. 82 to 84 consistently every single day.
And the low temperature at night is what, 70?
Not even. No, I'm at 78, maybe 70, 7. It doesn't get that low.
And what about humidity this time of year?
Oh, there's none. It's a cool breeze. It's absolutely stunning. It really is quite beautiful. And the sun, is hot, but the breeze is so refreshing that it actually makes sitting out in the sun or taking a walk somewhat manageable.
And do you jump into the ocean or are you a pool girl?
Both. I like both. So usually I'll go and sit at the ocean for a couple of hours. I usually have my Audible or my book or I'm writing and I go and do that. And then depending on how sandy I am, when I come back, I will jump in the pool.
Yeah, well, it sounds delightful. Okay, now let's talk about people who are a little bit, maybe not so little. They're mentally impacted by COVID and what's going on, and even the politics of what's going on. It's actually depressing. So a lot of people don't have an outlet, or they don't know what to think, or they're confused, and they tune out, but then they're impacted. So the net effect is mental health. So how is I would think what you're doing is good for mental health.
Absolutely. Now, to be clear, as a coach, I never went through, a medical training, if you will, per se. So there's definitely circumstances or situations. And Ed, I have to tell you, I actually was there when I was first dealing with losing all of my contracts, basically all of my business within a couple of days of each other. it was incredibly heartbreaking and difficult. Yeah. I've been,
Me too.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. So many of us were impacted significantly. And I don't care how trained you are as a coach or a psychologist or anybody, no matter what, experiencing that there's going to be some type of impact, whether it be physical or emotional. And so for myself, I had to use all these coaching tools on myself. Like I had to practice breathing. I had to practice getting out of bed in the morning. I had to let myself just cry on the ground in the fetal position, whatever that might have been. I had to process these emotions. And so I understand as well. I mean, obviously there's levels of gravity, as far as what everybody's going through right now. But one of the things that I do, that I've done for quite a long time, because I'm also an empath. So I really feel when people are hurting or when they're happy. And so from a news standpoint, from an information standpoint, I deliberately decide to protect myself from some of the information that is out there. And some may say, oh, well, Jacqueline, that's ignorant, or what, you just want to put your head in the sand. And no, actually, that is a health practice for myself that I understand I must do to keep my mindset healthy. And in doing so, I can help others move in a direction that they want to go. So I limited and do still limit the information that I intake because otherwise I would have never got up off the floor if I would be consistently watching all of the information that's out there.
And now a word from our co-sponsors. Our programs wouldn't happen without the wonderful support of our advertisers. Here they are.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
Cube Monk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
and by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Hi, my name is Christine. I'm a nurse from the Philippines, and I got to know IAS through Worldwide Health Staff Solutions. And I want to thank IAS, especially to Matthew, for helping me get my car stress-free, headache-free. And so just want to show you the car that I got. So it's a RAV4 XLE 2020.
As an expat moving to the USA, relocating is exciting, but it can also be stressful. Getting a car, truck, or SUV for personal transportation is usually a high priority. That's where International Auto Source comes in. We make getting the vehicle you want for your work assignment or academic program easy, so you're ready to drive when you arrive. Our product specialists have helped over 50,000 expatriates with their personal transportation needs, making us the largest international auto retailer in the world. International Auto Source gives you flexible payment options to buy, lease, or rent a vehicle from the world's leading auto brands, arrange financing on a purchase or lease without a U.S. credit history, social security number, or driving record, get full insurance coverage, and get approved easily through our low-rate factory-backed financing programs. And because we're an authorized distributor of the world's leading automotive brands, our no-haggle prices are competitive, and the buying experience is hassle-free. We'll even guarantee your new vehicle will be ready the day you arrive. With over 20 years of experience in the global community, we are the vehicle experts for expats. We are International Auto Source.
Let's get back to your graphics, the stuff that you sell. Is it just graphics, or do you sell other things?
So what I'm selling right now is this. I sell custom paintings. So one of a kind. Right now I have watercolor, so that's what I have access to. But my paintings, I do also acrylic as well, large scale, a small scale. I even have some oil paintings from the past that I have. But what I'm incorporating, because, if you can imagine, as a painter, as an artist, one of the things that we struggle with the most is scalability. It's very challenging to scale, an art business, because you're making all these one-of-a-kind products. And as, going up and going through my education, everybody said, oh, good luck, you're going to be a starving artist with that. So in that was a belief that I carried with me for so long that I've had to figure out, how do I kind of move around that? Because it's not actually true. So one of the things I decided to do from a scalability is put my work into a digital format. So what I utilize for these images is I will take these images on my phone right now, because that's just what I have access to, an iPhone. I don't even know what it is, and it's 11 or something like that. And I will then dump these images into Canva, which is a website that so many people probably have heard of now. You can make amazing social media images, marketing, presentations. I mean, the capabilities of this software is amazing.
Say that again. What's the name of it?
It's called Canva, CANV as in Victor A.com.
I'll look into it.
Yes, please. It's so wonderful because they will give you a ton of templates. So you don't even have to be creative. You can just literally use their stock information to make your graphics. So I, though, tend to make a lot of my own stuff, but I might use a template as a starter. And so that's how I've been using, creating some of my marketing materials for my website for Etsy, et cetera. But what I'm doing is I am utilizing my artwork now as the basis of the image for the digital platform. Like, for example, digital downloads, wallpaper, things like that you can buy on my site. And then you could have, your word specific on your web, on your computer or on your phone, wherever you want to put that. And then now another thing I've wanted to do for the longest time is put my artwork on clothing. So I literally just started doing that a couple days ago. So these images I'm creating in Canva, I can then dump them into a format in a website called Printful. And I can put images on cups and t-shirts and whatever it is that I want. And then I connect the Etsy website and my website to Printful. And I can fill orders that way.
So that's Printful?
Printful, yes. PRINTFUL.com.
Okay, so this is really interesting. So I want to say, and I'm going to introduce you to another customer of mine, one of our guests, Nana Haninen, is based in Finland. And she, by trade, is a photo journalist, a photo artist, in fact, and has some big showings. So anyway, she's developed a system, which she could tell you a lot better than me, of cross-cultural training by looking at a picture, like this picture of Venice Canal, behind me. Yeah. And they'll say, okay, what does that mean to you?
That's fascinating.
And so there's an intercultural communication and a way of breaking down barriers across silos, across cultures, across borders.
Ed, that is so fascinating, because when anybody looks at my painting, they all have a different impression or interpretation of it.
Cool.
So that's pretty interesting, because that will give you an indicator of where what somebody's belief systems are, right? Based on maybe where they've come from or how they've been raised, and then just what they see as in the outside world. How does that look to them?
So let me ask you a question, just off the wall question, because you're an artist and I'm not. So this picture behind me, this is a still that I took in Venice several years ago, and then had it enlarged. But is it possible in one of your websites that you mentioned, or some other methodology of making that come alive as if, like, it's a still, right? But is there some way to make 3D out of it, or implant a gondola going down that canal and looking at the different buildings?
Yes, absolutely. In Canva.
Wow.
Yes. So they have some different types of templates that are motions or graphics that you can use. So you could actually dump that image directly into one of their templates and then insert a canoe if you wanted to go down it. Absolutely. Basically, if there's a way, I will figure it out. So if you want to send it to me, no, I'll figure any of that stuff out. Honestly, I have so much fun toying around with these systems. I mean, that's what I could do all day long, which has been kind of eye-opening being here and figuring out. Ed, what I discovered is that I've been making stuff for everyone else. All my trainings, all my programs, everything that I've done most of my career, and then even after leaving BMW, was for someone else. And I finally, getting to Aruba, asked myself, what do I want? I've never asked that question before. And I have to tell you, it's because I have an awesome coach who took me through my own stuff that I had to go through.
So Aruba is far away from New Jersey.
It is.
And I mean, it's a world away. So you feel as if, you're so connected. Here we are. And yes. But your sense of escape, or sense of separation, gives you the freedom to think all this stuff, right?
Yes, it's interesting you should say that, because I've been pretty separate since I was 17. I've lived far away from home. I haven't been, in any of my family's homes since I was 17 or close to family. And so I've had to really figure stuff out on my own. Now, that doesn't mean that, in all of these cities I've lived in, I've had friends that are like family, who are close to me and who I have really tight bonds with. But what you're saying and how I relate to it is that moving yourself away to a distant place where you don't know anyone, you don't have any of the excuses. Oh, I have to go do this. Oh,
Right.
I have to go see that person. Oh, I have to whatever. Again, this goes back to saying yes for other people, not for yourself. Now, since I've been here, it's all me. It's only me. So there are no excuses, Jacqueline. What do you want? And that has really given me a chance. If I want to sit my butt on the couch and stare at the pool all day, I can do that in hopes of this, just being for the first time ever, really just truly being.
When you're working remotely like you are, there's a visa necessary or different tax things you got to do?
No, not for Aruba, as long as you're here under 6 months.
Yeah.
Anything over 6 months requires a visa. And right now I'm just considered a tourist, which is really what I am. So all my work, I'm not doing any work per se here in Aruba. Anything that I do and working with clients in the States is still obviously stateside.
Yeah. So when does your 6 months come up and can you renew it? Or do you have to go off island for a day and then come back on?
It's exactly it. As long as you go away for a hot second, it could be a day to Miami and then come back, you can restart. I, however, will be going back early February, and I think it's time. It will be time for me because it's interesting. It can almost feel like you're on vacation every single day in a climate like this with everybody. And I have to laugh at because I would be out on the beach or I'd go out to dinner and I'd meet a group of people and then they would invite me over to their palapa, which is actually it's basically like a little awning or area that you sit on the beach to protect you from the sun. So then I'd go over to their palapa and I'd hang out with them for all week. And then I'd be doing their vacation things. And then they would introduce me to people who were staying the following week. And then I would go and hang out with them. So I was vacation hopping. I was basically piggybacking off of everyone's vacations. And so what can happen is you're literally perpetually on vacation. And so I had to make sure I was like, okay, this week I'm on no one's vacation. I'm on my schedule. But I did not expect that. It's quite comical to think about it that way.
So it's really a lot of self-discipline to be on your own.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. That was a word that I wrote down for 2021, which is discipline. And I have a lot of it, quite frankly, when it comes to eating healthy and working out and all of those things. But sometimes, when it comes to writing content or whatever, it could be challenging because the beach is a 1 minute drive ahead of me.
So I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I want to invite you to come back on Global Radio Talk Show or Global TV Talk Show when you're ready.
Wonderful, Ed. It would be an absolute pleasure to join you. I appreciated this conversation as well.
Jacqueline, what is the email or the website that people can check you out on?
So on the website, I'm going to give you all Awaken to Shift. And this is the programming that I've developed specifically for women that I've been coaching. So it's www.awaken, AWAKEN, to shift, SHIFT.com. And you'll find obviously a whole bunch of different ways to get a hold of me on that website.
Thank you for being our guest today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind introductions and the time.
Thank you. Okay, this is Ed, and I'm signing off from San Diego, and that was Jacqueline Jasionowski in Aruba. Good. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.